Have you lost your job? Have you lost a loved one? Are you exhausted caring for your parents, for your kids? Well, you can find immediate relief when you read Sheila Mack's new #1 bestseller, Bootstraps and Bra Straps. It contains the Boots formula to move from rock bottom back into action in any situation, especially right now. So if life has knocked you down, pick yourself up with Bootstraps and Bra Straps. Get your copy at www.sheilamack.com today.
Are you ready for a reboot? Welcome to the Sheila Mack Show, reality at its finest. History reminds us those hit hardest often become the change makers. This year, we've all hit crazy economic, social, and emotional rock bottoms. We all get knocked down. Something hits globally, locally, personally. It affects our health, finances, our relationships. We have to recreate a business or career. Each show, Sheila and her special guest will be sharing their reboot stories, guiding you with real solutions to upgrade and up-level emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially. Here on NBC's KCAA Radio.
Welcome to the Sheila Mack Show, reality at its finest. Here we have real people sharing real stories and actionable steps to help you reinvent, rebuild, and reboot your business and personal life on your terms. I'm your host, Sheila Mack, and today we have special guest Brigitte van Tuijl. Now, Brigitte is a writer and master coach for women entrepreneurs. She shows them how to make a big difference in the world without selling yourself short or changing who you are. In the past 2 decades, she's helped thousands of women get clear on their true dreams and make their dreams come true. Her clients have launched businesses globally, published their first books, doubled their incomes, and realized their most important goals and desires. She's the author of 5 books, among them The Art of Divine Selfishness, Transform Your Life, Your Business, and the World by Putting You First. So welcome to the show, Brigitte.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Sheila.
And this show actually came about after my best-selling book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation, came about. And so I like to start off with asking if you have a time in your business or personal life where you overcame a difficult situation and how you got back on track.
I think the first thing that comes to mind is when I had made a change in my business. I used to work in the Netherlands in Dutch only, and then I started working with women entrepreneurs instead of women with a job, and started working internationally. And this was in 2012. So I basically built a new business, and that was going really well. But, and this is something that you need to know for this story, I am super, super, super introverted, which does not mean that I'm shy, but that means that I need a lot of alone time to recharge. And so over the years, I always had the same pattern in my business. I was either having enough alone time, but then I didn't have enough clients and I didn't make enough money, or I had enough clients and made enough money, but then I didn't have enough alone time. And I already built my business in a way that made it 90% ideal for me. And the rest of the 10%, I was like, yeah, that's just part of the game. You can't have it all, and it can't be perfect, apparently, and this is just the way it is. And but then in 2012, I was working with a coach to get my new business off the ground, and it was going well. But every time when I talked to her, there were situations where we were talking about my plan, and I would say to her, okay, wait a minute. My inner hermit is screaming here. I called that part of me that needs a lot of alone time, my inner hermit. My inner hermit is screaming, this is not going well. And then we tweaked whatever I was about to do and made changes. And then at the end of 2012, we were looking at my plans for 2013. And I just felt more and more uncomfortable with every second that passed. And I said to my coach, hang on, my inner hermit is absolutely screaming now. This plan does not sound good. It does not, it's too crowded. It's too busy. I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm done being a crappy hermit, and I want to be a happy hermit instead. And it doesn't really sound like it's a rock bottom type of situation. I mean, it's not a super dramatic thing, but for me, it was something that I just was no longer willing to tolerate the fact that I couldn't have my business the way I wanted it to be, exactly as I wanted it to be. And, but yeah, I made the decision then and there, and I changed it, and that wasn't always easy, but I did manage to create my business in a way that is perfectly ideal for me. And so what it looks like now is that I only make 4 appointments per week, maximum, for only 3 weeks per month. And then every 4th week is my hermit week, where I make absolutely no appointments at all. So it turned out all right, but it was quite the journey.
Yes. Wow, that sounds incredible and so interesting, because there is that time, especially when you have a new business, where you have to figure out the rhythm of the whole business and how that works with your life. And you're always course correcting. And I think everybody experienced a little bit of that this last 15 months or so with the pandemic, universal pause, whatever you want to call our interesting times. And so it has been difficult, and things that we were used to, you know, we've come accustomed to certain things, and all of a sudden the world changed. So for those of us that are outgoing, that are not introverts, more extroverts, it was really hard to be on when we had the lockdowns. And I was like, oh my goodness, because we're more extroverts. But it's interesting. I think I'm kind of a 50-50 blend myself, because I can be in groups with thousands of people, 15,000 people at an event, hugging everybody, great. And then I need to go home and have space and regroup and recharge. So it's something, I give all my energy and then I've got to recharge. So I get that part. So I don't know what I am really, but actually this morning I went and I had the morning off of some of my classes. So I did get to go do errands, and it was almost like, because we don't go as much, I said, my goodness, we used to go out like this every single day. And now it's maybe once or twice a week, because we live really far from stores. So it just makes sense to do that. And really different. But I love the idea of taking that week off, that down that you've created in your life. And that's when you can visit with friends, socialize more, have more fun. That makes so much sense. Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing. Yeah.
And I'd love to hear about your books, maybe with your most recent one, if you could maybe share about and what's some of the topics in the book.
Yeah, it's called The Art of Divine Selfishness, Transform Your Life, Your Business, and the World by Putting You First. And it's mainly geared towards women entrepreneurs specifically. And the reason I wrote the book is that I see, and actually, well, let's back up. I shared the story about being a hermit, and because I always needed a lot of time for myself. So even before I started my business, I was very mindful of how I spent my time. And I was very mindful of not making too many appointments. And in order to do that, I had to set boundaries and say no a lot. So I learned that from a pretty young age. And then when I became a coach, I noticed that because most of my clients were women from the start, and the things that no matter what we were talking about, it was always about their career and later about their business, but it was always about saying no, setting boundaries, prioritizing yourself, prioritizing your self-care. That is just such a big theme for women. And I saw it over and over, how women tend to put others first or try to please others. And there's nothing wrong with that. But, as long as it recharges you and energizes you and you do it voluntarily because you like doing it. But so many women do it at the expense of themselves and at the expense of their dreams. And since I was always coaching women on that topic anyway, I decided to write a book about it. And so the book takes you through all kinds of different topics that, habits or things you can change or do in order to prioritize yourself, your dreams, and your self-care. And it also addresses the fears and doubts that can come up when you do, because people, you can be scared that people think that you are selfish. No one wants to be called selfish, or that people won't like you anymore, or that you won't belong anymore, or that maybe your clients don't like you anymore. And it's interesting because even though these are things that I learned to be good at from a young age, by the time I noticed that it was something that people came to me for, especially after because I wrote about becoming the happy hermit, and that's basically all about prioritizing myself and what I want and how I want to do business. And that was very attractive for my ideal clients. So they came to me because of that, because they wanted to learn from me how I did that and how I prioritized myself. And so I thought, okay, so let's just claim the term, the Art of Divine Selfishness. And then I noticed a hesitancy inside of myself, like, ooh, I'm not really sure if I'm ready to call myself that out in the open, what will people think? And that's exactly what I was coaching my own clients on, what will people think? Yeah, well, okay. And I worked with them to shift that mindset. And now I had to do that work for myself again. And also, which is fine, but I noticed that I had to do that I also internalized all these voices around, what will others think. And I think that's a good thing, because it helps me really understand where the women I coach come from. And also it helped me write the book, because I could use my own experiences and those of my clients in the book.
So now, are you married? Do you have children? Or was it just you that you get to have the free time, or how does that work for you in your life?
I have a partner. We are not married, but we are always together, and I don't have children.
Okay. It seems to me, now I adopted 3 children and had 3 of my own. Wow. So we ended up with 6.
Wow.
And the doctor says you can't have children. And then I had surprises of my own.
Wow.
And they're all grown now. And there was a season in my life where I did have to prioritize. I also had an ex-husband that did not want to work. Okay. So I had to work and provide for everybody, and then come home and tutor the kids and clean everybody and get everybody. And I was so last in line. I can remember getting everybody ready for school, everybody's hair done, everything clean and neat, lunch packed, all that good stuff, get ready for the office, I ran gift stores. And one day I went into the car and I looked in the rearview mirror and I thought, oh my gosh, I forgot to comb my hair. And I totally, and you're rushing and everybody's going to get to school on time. And I grabbed a hat and threw it on my head and kept going. And it was like, that's really bad. And then there were times where I forgot one of the children, to pick them up from school, because I was running a big event at my gift stores. I always had big events. They were 5,000 square foot. They were huge. And I had 5 stores
wow.
at the time. And so I was so busy and I totally forgot a child. I mean, most of them were taken care of. Somebody, got forgotten, and I felt so bad. It was on me. And luckily they forgave me.
Of course.
And they had after school care, so it was fine. They had fun playing, but I felt terrible. And so that's something. And then there's that point in your life where as a mom, then your kids grow up or get to the age where you have that time to take back more and more. And I remember learning to say no to all the parent groups and all the extracurricular groups. And the first time no came out of my mouth, I was like, whoa, that was like a bad word. I mean,
Yes.
it came out of me, you know, how you say a bad word by mistake, baby. And I was like, that came out of me. And then I learned, and it took time to get to that point of self-care and really taking lots of time for myself. And it helped my children as they were growing up, because it modeled taking care of yourself for them.
Yes.
And then it also helped with, when I was at work, my productivity went way up.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't make sense in my mind. And I'm sure you get that with a lot of entrepreneur women that mind, you think, well, if I just work, I'm going to get more done. But there's a certain point where if we don't refuel, we don't recharge, we get so burned out. And it's not fun anymore because there's nothing to look forward to. And so that's just like a big deal. I mean, I'm so good at it now. Like, we did our shopping. We took our dog to get groomed today for a trip we're taking soon. And it was funny because then I said, let's schedule massages for tonight. Okay. And, you know, so we're doing all that kind of stuff, and it's nice. And, you know, book, now we're getting back on track with health and fitness. So we got a personal trainer in the gym, and so we're booking ourselves in. And my daughter just graduated college with 3 degrees, and she worked. And she was even surprised. It was like she just kept taking classes because she was bored when we were locked down. She didn't even know, and they told her. And so we do a lot, but we actually take time for self-care and have so much more now than we did when we were just work.
Yeah,
different.
That is so good.
Yeah.
And it's so good that you mentioned that you had 6 children growing up and 5 gift shops. And that's really good that you mentioned that, because as I just shared, I don't have children. So sometimes people think, yeah, well, it's easy for you, to prioritize yourself because you don't have children. And that's true. That's true. My life looks absolutely different, and that is easier for me. However, there's always, because my clients, most of them have children, and or maybe parents they need to take care of, and what I've seen is that no matter what phase of life you are in, whether you have children or they're small or grown up, it doesn't matter. There is always space to carve out more time for yourself.
Yes.
Always. There are always some boundaries you can set, some things you can stop doing, some things you can say no to, and you can always carve out time to do something for yourself, whether it's a massage or just sitting on the couch for 5 minutes with a cup of tea and a book, I mean, that counts as well. But there's always space for that. But the only reason women often don't see that is because of the guilt. They feel guilty. They feel guilty towards their family, or they feel guilty because they feel that they really should be working. Because you are right, we're all conditioned to believe that if you want to get stuff done, you need to work. And if you want to achieve more, you need to work more. And that's just not true. That's just not true. If you take the time to relax and do something for yourself, whatever it is, doesn't matter, whatever makes you happy, then everyone benefits, including your family, including your business, including your clients. Absolutely everyone benefits when you take better care of yourself and allow yourself more space just for you. And it's only the guilt or having trouble saying no. That's the only thing that makes it hard. That's really the only thing. But that's always the case, right? It's always the mindset. It's always what you believe or what you fear that makes anything difficult.
Yes. So it's boundaries is the magic word here, I think.
Yes.
Because we lose boundaries at certain points in our life for whatever reason.
Yes.
And those boundaries are, when they're weak, you'll say no and you'll give 10 excuses
Yes.
instead of, just lovingly no, or, that's not, I can't, it's not in my schedule. No, but no, like this whole dramatic story of why I can't, you know what I
Yes.
mean? So it's something that you learn. And I know that my younger kids now, they're all college and above, but they're still at that point where they're learning to set new boundaries.
Yeah.
And it's like, do you really want to go do that with your friends, or go to that luncheon or dinner party and they're all going to drink and you don't drink, or whatever? No, I don't really want to go. Well, just say no then. When they're going swimming or they're going to do athletics that you like, then you say yes. When it's something you're not comfortable around, no. And you don't have to explain. And it's so new. And you get the pressure from the group.
Yes.
Whatever, and it's adults, it doesn't matter the age. You could be an older person in your 90s. I had
absolutely
elder care, and the 90-year-old ladies would pressure each other about things. So it's like boundaries are for everyone.
Yes.
Now, when you're helping a new client figure these boundaries out, figure out how to say the no that gives them the yes for their self-care, how do you help them through that?
Well, first of all, I let them really say out loud and or write down what it is exactly that they're afraid of.
Mm-hmm.
Because so often the things you fear, as long as you keep them inside, you usually don't really go to your fear, right? You feel a fear, it feels uncomfortable, you want to get away from it, and you stop thinking about it and you just avoid it.
Yeah.
And when you do that, when you don't look at your fear, it becomes bigger. It becomes bigger and it gets power over you. When, however, you look at your fear, which is something we don't want to do, but I make my clients do it because it's important. And when you look at your fear, it actually becomes smaller. So I let them write down or say out loud all the things they fear, and to not censor themselves when they connect with those fears and when they express those fears. Because sometimes they are ashamed of something they fear. They think, oh, well, it's actually, maybe it's stupid that this is something I fear. And then they push that fear down also. So that is absolutely the first step. So for everyone listening to this, if there's something that you want and you notice that there are fears around it, go explore those fears. Ask yourself, what is it exactly that I'm afraid of? And it feels uncomfortable at first. And that is because until now, that fear was somewhere in the back of your mind. And now when you explore it, you put a spotlight on it. So now you see the fear in its full glory and you feel it in its full glory. And for a couple of seconds, no longer than 90 seconds at most, I promise you, after 90 seconds, the energy of any emotion just goes away all by itself. So it's only uncomfortable for a minute and a half at most. Really explore what are you scared of exactly? And when you do this for yourself, I encourage you to write it down. Write it all down. Don't censor yourself. Don't judge yourself. Don't get mad at yourself. Come from a place of curiosity. Just ask yourself, okay, so what is it that's standing between me and doing something that I would really love to do?
Yes.
What is it? Let me see. Let me explore. Let's see what's going on there. And so be curious and be kind and mild to yourself. We all have fears. And so many of our fears, the moment you say them out loud or you write them down, they make no sense at all. Or they seem completely exaggerated. You know, like I used to have a terrible fear of making myself visible. And when I explored, okay, what is it I'm afraid of exactly? One of the things that came up for me was I'm afraid that I will die. Makes no sense. How on earth could I die from sending out a newsletter or creating a website? You know, that's not going to kill you. But the fear was there. And as long as you think, well, that's stupid, or why do I fear that, or I shouldn't feel that? No, it's what you feel.
Yeah.
It's there. So just get it out. And then when you have your list of fears, I go over them one by one with my clients and I ask them, do you truly believe that this will happen? 9 times out of 10, the answer is no.
Right.
And that calms you down. And then maybe there are little residues of fear. And then I ask them, is this fear so big that it paralyzes you and you can't move forward at all? Or do you feel capable of taking maybe even a teeny tiny step towards your goal?
Right.
The answer is always yes.
Mm.
And if the answer still is no, there are several other things that we can do, but I'm sharing these things because this is something that the people who are listening to this can do for themselves. So look at your fear. It doesn't become bigger. It only seems that way because now you're looking at it. It gets smaller. Write down everything you fear. Come from curiosity, kindness, and mildness, and don't censor yourself. And then ask yourself, for every fear you wrote down, do I truly believe that this will happen? Can I absolutely be 100% certain that this will happen? The answer is almost always no. And then after you did that and you feel that your fear has become more manageable and now it's still scary but not paralyzing, then shift your focus to the other side. What becomes possible for you when you do this thing you now fear? Because here's another thing that happens when you are scared. The only thing you can think about is how everything will go wrong, how difficult it will be, one doom scenario after the other. And you forget to think about what becomes possible when you do the thing you want to do, even though it's scary. And so always look at the fears first, but then shift into, okay, so what's on the other end?
Yeah.
And when you look at that, your enthusiasm takes over, your passion, your joy, your excitement takes over. And then you're in a situation where maybe you're still scared, but now your excitement is bigger than your fear. And then you're free to move forward.
Yes. Oh, that sounds so nice. And
Yeah.
it's something that is subtle at first, I think. I remember I always had these big holiday parties and I spend $1,000, $2,000, and I would invite all these neighbors, all the friends, the whole family. Anybody that didn't have a family was at the house, all the kids, all the extended family. And as you know, the elders passed away, we had all that, we had a lot of elder care and things happened. And it was down to just the family again. And I asked them, I said, okay, I'm going to do this big meal and it's the holidays. And they were like, you know what we'd really like? We would prefer just to have pizza and just spend time with you and play with the toys and have fun and go to the beach. And I was like, oh, good, because I don't want to eat this stuff either. None of us really like the turkey and all the meals, and then it would mess up the diet. I was always on a diet, and no fun in it. It's like, it's going to take me 3 weeks to get this off because I'm going to eat this whole day and cook. And my time when I want to be with my kids. And we had that open conversation, just an open discussion. And I was like, this is great. So I would rather buy the gifts you really want or something and go have an experience versus sitting and eating food that nobody even wanted to eat.
Yeah.
How crazy. But we didn't know. And we were following the tradition that, when the elders were around, obviously we helped with them. And so we gave them what they liked, but then they weren't even there anymore. And so it was like ridiculous to continue spending money on something that none of us had happiness. There was no happiness factor going on.
Yeah.
It was just work. I was paying to cook for 2 or 3 days straight.
Wow.
And then and I was like, well, this is not my idea of fun. for the
No.
holidays. And we loved it. We'd go ride bikes on the beach and have fun and do great things and go see movies when nobody was out there and all these different activities. And we loved it. So
Yeah.
kind of, I guess, real conversations that need to happen. And I guess in the workplace also, what example do you have for setting these boundaries or bringing this into your workplace, buying time while you're running a business maybe?
Yeah. Well, one thing, well, the first example that comes to mind is a lot of my clients, well, they have their own business, so they have their own clients as well. And let's say, for example, that someone works as a coach. It doesn't really matter. It can also be a web designer. But let's say you have an appointment with a client and the appointment takes 1 hour. And then your client shows up 10 minutes late. What the boundary you can set there, and you should set it, is, well, those 10 minutes are coming out of your time, not mine. But often my own clients, when they have a client who shows up 10 minutes late, they just go on 10 minutes longer so that the client still has their 1 hour appointment. And then I tell them, well, no, it's their responsibility. You were on time. They are supposed to be on time as well. And you need to teach them that they need to respect your time and your boundaries. And you don't have to be nasty about it or unkind. What I do is for that reason, my clients do not show up late because, and I don't even have to tell them if you're late, we're quitting on time. I don't have to tell them because, and here's another thing, when you are clear inside yourself, when you are clear on your boundaries, then people sense it. They feel it. They honor your boundaries without you even having to say it. But on the very rare occasion where a client of mine is late, I say something like, hey, well, good that you're here. Let's get started because, we only have 50 minutes left and I want to make the most of it. Something like that. Yeah. It's a kind and friendly way to say to someone, okay, you were 10 minutes late, but we're still gonna end our call on the agreed time. We're not going over time here. It's just a kind way to say it.
Yeah. And I kind of think it goes both ways. I can recall grandma had dementia. She was staying at our home and I was pregnant and I had babies. And then I had my dad at another hospital. He had cancer. And I got late to the appointment at the OBGYN, but like 10 minutes. And I did call in, but usually when you get there, you wait 45 minutes to be seen.
Oh, right.
And she was like, you're late. I was like, you're finally early.
Yeah.
And she didn't understand. I said, look, we had to find grandma because she escaped. She ran off. She would go down the street and steal chocolate from the store because, they forget. And she would just take the chocolate and start eating it. And the doctor had forbidden her chocolate eating. And so she was like craving chocolate. And at some point we ended up putting her at the home up the street and just having her home for dinner. But it was a tough time. And it wasn't until, and she was really mad at me though. She wasn't nice. She was really mad. And I was like, okay. She's a little uptight. And it was funny because then, it was sad but funny because later she had a mom who ended up passing away and in hospice and going through that, and then a dad that had dementia. And she was like, oh, okay, I get it. Like, so I think there's a leeway on that in both directions.
Yeah.
It was like I was like, you have, here's the police report. We were looking for grandma. We called in. There's certain priorities. And so it was like that. And she didn't understand because she hadn't had that experience of having so much at once. And so I think there's seasons in your life where things are different. But I was I was like, you just need to do like I guess I needed prenatal vitamins, or it was nothing. You know what I mean? Or you could reschedule. I didn't care, but I didn't want to be yelled at. I think
Yeah.
that was it. It was like, whoa, wait a minute. You have no idea. You should be thanking me for showing up after what I went
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
It's a miracle I got here. So it's that kind of, I think there's like form and freedom, and that
Yes.
between space where there's a loving, kind way of setting the boundaries with your
Yes.
clients, with your, I think about it like with my children. You set a lot of boundaries with children. And I taught for years too. I did Waldorf teaching and Montessori years ago. So I did that too. And if you command and set it in a mean way, what happens is the kids will push it even further. But if you do it in a fun, loving way, or with a contest, or you win a prize, or different things, then they're on board and they want to do it. They'll stay up all night to get something done. And so it's that different way of phrasing it. Now, can you give some examples of how to set the me time maybe for your women entrepreneurs, female bosses that maybe have a husband or a partner, and they're have people that want to take their free time? What would they, how do you help them with the right phrasing to be able to say that no in a way that's
yeah. Well, actually, and this has to do with boundaries as well. And I will give 2 examples of it. The kind way to do it, and the way that feels best for yourself as well, is not to say what you don't want someone to do, or what you are not willing to give someone or to do for someone, but to focus on what is possible, when you are available, and what you are willing to do, to focus on that. So I will give you 2 examples of that. One thing that my clients often do to carve out more time for themselves is to start by picking a day or an afternoon in the week where they don't make appointments. And they can use that time as their me time, or to catch up with their administration or emails, whatever they want to do with it, but they don't make appointments. And they not always, but they often make a big deal of it. So how am I going to tell someone? What if someone wants to make an appointment on Friday afternoon, and I want that to be my afternoon off? What am I going to say? I don't want to see you on Friday afternoon. No, you're not going to say that. When someone asks you, okay, can I make an appointment on Friday afternoon? You say, no, but I do have space for you on Monday morning, whatever. You don't have to explain. When you call the hairdresser and you ask them, do you have time for me today? And they say no. Do you ask, why not?
No.
What are you doing? No. You just assume that their schedule is just booked somehow and there's no place, whatever. So what are the other options? Your own clients are the same way. When you say, no, but I'm available then, no one is going to ask you, why aren't you available Friday afternoon? Why can't I make an appointment with you on Friday afternoon? No one is going to ask that. They won't. So don't worry about it, and mention what is possible. And when it's about, with children, what some of my clients do is when they need to work and their children are around, they go sit in another room or in their own office if they have an own office. Not everyone has their own office, but they sit in another room. And then they tell their children, I'm going to be in there for an hour or however long it takes. And also depending on how old your children are, of course. And so I need to do some work. But when I come out, then I have time to whatever. Go eat ice cream with you, or play a game, or whatever you like to do with your kids afterwards, and focus on that. And just tell them to not disturb them, because you are doing something for your business, and that's important, but you will have all your time and attention for them afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And when you phrase it like that, when you bring it like that, usually it works fine. When kids are smaller, they do come in and they do ask a question, and then just remind them. And and especially when kids are a little bit older, they can relate. They have their things that they like to do and not be disturbed, whether it's to play a game or read a book or watch a cartoon, and they enjoy doing that without being disturbed. Or maybe if they're a little bit older and they have homework, they know what it's like to need their concentration and to not be disturbed. So you can just it's the same thing. It's give and take. And when you are clear on when you are available for them, and always let them know, of course, that there are exceptions. If there's really an emergency, they can, of course, always disturb you.
Right.
I mean, that should be clear as well.
Right.
But when they know, okay, but you will have time for me later, usually it's fine.
Yeah.
Usually it's just fine. Yeah.
Yes. Now, for me, I literally, maybe a couple years ago, I totally put my phone, my computer, everything is on do not disturb. Messages, people schedule a time.
That's a good one.
A catch-up call is scheduled. I have recordings. Sometimes I'll do 5 or 6 recordings in a day, other times 1 or 2. And so I have people schedule that way. And it's easy because I can block schedule and say, this is when I'm available for this activity. And then I know, okay, these are the days I'm going to see my family or go with friends, and, that week off or whatever it is. And so it's really nice. And I think this afternoon, earlier today, I had to have the phone on because the groomer was going to call to double check on how to, how short we want the dog's hair to be cut and all that. Yeah. And so I had to have the phone on to get this call back because the dog is in the groomer's waiting to be served and all that. And so I had the phone on, and within 1 hour, I got 16 phone calls.
Oh, wow.
And I were shopping around, waiting for the dog and getting oil changes. and I thought, oh my gosh, if I really honestly answered every single, I didn't answer all the calls, but it was out loud. And I was like, my gosh, this would disturb me. How would I get my work done? How would I be able to enjoy my time sitting and having some coffee? We did our little Starbucks because we were out. How am I going to be able to do that if I'm interrupting my family time with all these calls? And I want to talk to the people. I love the people, but it doesn't serve anybody because then I'm not really with them, and I'm not with the person I'm in front of. And it's just a terrible way to have to live life.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a really easy way to set a boundary. That's a way to protect your time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Turn off all notifications, turn off your phone. A lot of people have their email open all day long. Why? Just close it. Right. Open it in the morning or in the afternoon or twice a day, maybe 3 times a day, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. You don't have to constantly monitor your emails. You don't have to answer the emails within 5 minutes. You really, really don't. And it saves you so much time and distraction. Yeah. And those are easy boundaries to set because you don't have to say anything to anyone. You can just do it for yourself.
Yes.
So yeah, that's so great that you share this, because this is really an easy way to create more, not necessarily more time, although when you focus on answering your emails 1 or 2 a day and you keep your email closed for the rest of the time, it will definitely save you time. But it also saves you a lot of input and disturbances, and it gives you a clear space of mind as well.
Yes, incredible. I schedule my emails for, reading my emails once or twice a day. And I also schedule my social media time because I have a presence, obviously, with all I'm doing. So I have to be on there, but I'm very strict about when I go on and off, and only for so long, so I don't get stuck in there. And it's not like now we have so many different places to go. I mentioned the Clubhouse. And so that's just one of those things where there's just no way you can do everything. And then somehow
Yeah.
we have to take care of our homes, we have to take care of our bodies, we have to take care of our pets, our families, and visit. You want to have a social life. How can you do that? Just the social media alone and all the disruptions take up all your day. Now, I was able to do that even with my gift stores at a young age. Within a few months, I said, no, everybody has to schedule an appointment with me. And I had to keep arm's length, or else everybody comes into the shop, if you have a shop or any business, and they want to sell you the products. If you're a doctor, they want to sell you the new medicines. If you're in a gift store, the new gifts, or they want you to do fundraising or whatever. And I did see people, but they had a certain day of the week and a certain couple hours, and that was it for the week. And then they'd have to schedule the next week. And that was, how could I do it with my 6 children, 5 gift stores, and then I had elders get sick? I had to have crazy boundaries.
Yes,
but it was the
definitely.
only way. And I would go and I would take 2 or 3 days off, and I would go plan the kids' schedules and my schedule. I would go to a beautiful spa, lady spa, and relax with friends, and we would, have fun. And then I would do my planning and take a moment, and the kids would be with the grandparents who loved, they loved seeing the kids anyway. And I would recharge, and then we would go full speed ahead for our schedule. And it was great. But that time of planning, it's planning in solitude, we called it. And that time was priceless for the business, for the family life. Everybody's crazy, so many people to take care of. It was so important, made all the difference. And I felt recharged. By the time I got to actually activate the schedule, I was like ready to go.
Yeah.
I wasn't exhausted.
Yeah. And that's another good point that you make, that set boundaries for the things you do, like social media. That's another way to set, because often people think, when they hear the term setting boundaries, they think it's about setting boundaries towards other people. But it's also setting boundaries on what you spend your time on and how long you spend your time on it. And so many people lose so much time on social media, and for what? And when you have the time and when you enjoy it, well, fine, go ahead, it's not a problem. But when you feel that your time is scarce, and when you don't really enjoy just scrolling mindlessly through Twitter or Facebook or whatever, then don't do it. And then when I say that to people, they sometimes say, yeah, but I need to be there for my business. And yeah, well, you don't have to be there all day long or an hour. You don't. You can just be very mindful of your time. And if you want to post something and respond to a couple of things other people post, give yourself 15 minutes, maybe half an hour, and that's it.
Right.
And then quit.
Exactly.
Close all your tabs and go do something else. And that is another way of setting boundaries. And that is to be very, very mindful of, what are you spending your time on? Is it something that brings you joy? Is it something that benefits your business? Is it something that benefits your family? Is it something that benefits you? Or is it just something you do because, I don't know, you're just doing it and time goes by? And when you pay attention to that, you can always find some pockets of time for that you can use for something else, like for yourself.
Yes. Now, one of the things I sometimes work with clients that have a full load, and with elder care, let's say, I have one client that actually had 2 siblings that were, like, I think, bipolar disorder in homes. They were severe. And the parents also came down with, older, that one was hospice, this and that. And so she was taking care of everything. And I said, when was the last time you just did a treat for yourself? Spoil yourself, adopt yourself, and spoil yourself like you take care of everybody else. I want you to take care of you. This every day this week, you have to text me a picture of what you're doing to spoil yourself. So one day she's getting her nails done. Then she's eating all this food that she never eats, and donuts and fancy restaurants. And every day for a week, she was sending these. And she says, I kind of like this. I want to keep going. And now it's like 3 years later, and she learned how it was like a challenge, because at first it was,
Yeah.
and it's just like, I like this. I have never done this. And it was different because she had to put all the siblings first and then her parents first. And she wasn't in the equation at all. And
Yeah.
that's very common. And also
Mm-hmm.
businesses where the business comes first and then you go
Yeah.
home and the home comes first, you resent everything and you don't own a business,
Yeah.
it owns you. And why are you earning money if you're not going to enjoy it?
Yeah.
What's the point? I mean,
Exactly.
just have a job, work, So
Yeah.
it makes
Yeah.
a difference when you're able to have fun.
Absolutely makes all the difference. And remember, why did you start your business? For most people, one of the reasons they start their own business is that they want to be free.
Yes.
Well,
and they're less free.
and yeah, but first you had a boss and now your business is your boss. But when you have your own business, you are the boss. You call the shots, you make the decisions, and you can do business in any way you like.
Mm-hmm.
In any way you like. Just as long as you're willing to think outside of the box, if you're willing to commit to what it is that you want, and if you're willing to do the necessary mindset work to move through the fears and doubts that show up when you think about how you would want to live or what you would want to do. And then so much more is possible for everyone. So much more is possible than what you think is possible for you now. And just open your mind to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Makes all the difference. Lifestyle redesign for sure. So
Yes.
now we are coming to the end of our talking time. So I'd love for you to share how people can reach you and get your book.
Yes, well, they can find me online at yourwayornoway.com. Yourwayornoway.com. That's my website. You can find all my books there. You can find my links to all my social media profiles there. So I think that is the easiest way to find me. You can also find a free ebook there called Put Yourself First, Baby, with some tips and blogs around putting yourself first.
Okay.
And I have some free gifts also on that website. So I think that's the best place to find me.
Excellent. Thank you again for being a guest on the show, Brigitte. And for those tuning in, we will be back after these messages. Stay tuned. If you are just tuning in, this is Sheila Mack, host of NBC's Sheila Mack Show here on KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. And today I have a special gift for beautiful, authentic you. For a free Boots meditation and mini introduction to the Boots formula course, go to www.sheilamac.com/Boots meditation. That's www.Sheilamac.com/Boots, BOOTS meditation, and enjoy your free gift, which is a free Boots meditation class as well as a mini introduction to the Boots formula course. Enjoy. Announcing a special 2-part feature interview with marketing legend Jay Abraham. Mark your calendars for the Monday after Father's Day, June 21st, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Pacific Time, right here on NBC's Sheila Mack Show on KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. Mark your calendars. I'm announcing a special 2-part feature interview with marketing legend Jay Abraham. Mark your calendars for the Monday after Father's Day, June 21st. That's right, Monday, June 21st, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Pacific Time on NBC's Sheila Mack Show, right here on KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. So here it is, my latest book. I have to let you know something, just between you and me. This book is not one size fits all, just like a pair of boots or a bra. So The formula is designed to help you through any situation. To grab a copy of my new best-selling book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, The Formula to Go from Rock Bottom Back into Action in Any Situation. It is now available on Audible as well as on Amazon and Kindle and at www.sheilamac.com.